What's up, good people? It's the Truth Is podcast, and we have a very, very special guest here today. We have Councilman, I repeat, Councilman Kevin Riley from District 12 in the Bronx, a very powerful man in New York City. He's here to drop some jewels on us, give us some knowledge, tell his story, inspire, and we are very, very happy to have him. This man is doing a lot of things, and for him to find the time to spend with us to share some information with the people, we appreciate it. So we're going to start this interview off with Sonia. Sonia, set it off.
Well, Councilman, thank you so much for taking the time to grace us with your presence.
Thank you for having me.
I know a little bit about you. I've met you before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you recall when I met you for the first time, I told you you was going to do it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I believe you're going to go further. But let me ask you a question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, born and raised in the northeast section of the Bronx my entire life. Both my parents migrated here from Jamaica. Was born in the late 80s. My father got in a little bit of trouble back in the day. The last image that I had of a black man inside my household was my father being left in handcuffs and taken out of handcuffs, actually with the same precinct that I have to work with today.
Wow.
But needless to say, throughout my entire tenure of growing up, I thought I was going to go to jail. Even so much, it's not really funny, but my wife says the only thing you watch is like Rico, jail movies and things about like crime, because I wanted to know why, how, and what my father was going through at that time. So, as a young black male, especially when you have your mother, my mother came from Jamaica, 3 jobs, bought a house because she wanted to, pass down generational wealth. She was working very hard, so, you don't have that male figure in your life. So as a young black man, you try to get affirmation from as much as possible, either it's through trying to get girls, trying to get in a specific type of crowd, trying to get accolades throughout your life. You try to get these affirmations anyway to try to, amount to anything because you're trying to figure out yourself. So just growing up in the Northeast Bronx, that was my mindset growing up. So I had a little rough tenure in my teenage years, and I guess we'll talk about that a little later. But just trying to figure things out, man, and going away to college, and at the time, just really trying to make my mother proud.
So what was that aha moment? What fueled you, to say, you know what, I want to make a difference, and I want to do it in this way?
So I'm a public servant by heart. Always love helping people. If you're someone around me, I always like to find the good in you. I feel like there's so much good in everybody around us. You might be around a friend sometimes and you get that, motivational conversation where it just sparks an idea. It just sparks a feeling within you. So I always try to be that public servant. My first job was at 14 as soon as I got my working permits. Summer youth, worked at the library. So that's a public servant job. It's a public job. So just helping people find books, educating themselves with literacy, and just watching the kids, because at that time, childcare is still the issue now. But at that time, a lot of parents usually leave their kids in the library all day. So you build relationships. I don't think a lot of people know that. A lot of parents who can't afford childcare, they usually drop their kids off in the library, or their kids will go to the library. And we know them as, these are the children here. Sometimes they'll go to the parks for lunch and things of that nature. So those things were happening. So I was always a public servant throughout my life. Any job I had. In college, I had a lot of retail jobs. But when I really I joined a fraternity in 2008, so I met a good brother named Jonathan Hicks. And at that time, I was majoring in politics, economics, and law. And I only was doing that to make my mother happy. At that time, it was politics, economics, and society. Okay. And I'll tell you this. I became the senator of that department.
Well, let's speak those things.
Yeah, wow. And we fought to change it from politics, economics, society to politics, economics, and law, because there wasn't a law degree in my college I went to. I went to SUNY College at Westbury. So it wasn't a law department. So we wanted to convert that to politics, economics, and law. And just doing that gave me a little glimpse
Wow,
of politics,
yeah.
because you don't really know about politics growing up. All you know about is old white males. When you think about politicians, you don't really see a black person. And then if you see someone, it doesn't look like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had tattoo. I like wearing earrings. You know what I mean? I like wearing Jordans. I like just being me, man. I'm an inner city youth.
Yes.
So I just like being me all the time, and I don't feel like you should judge somebody by the looks. You should judge somebody from within. You know what I mean? What they really bring to the table. So I'm always really been a public servant.
Wow, so it was just in you. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never had a choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when did you know that you wanted to run for office?
So in 2008, Jonathan Hicks, God rest his soul, my fraternity brother, he made me come to a meeting with him, and he was going to sit down with Carl Hasty, who's my mentor, and Ruben Diaz Jr. So when we were at the meeting, and I'm a kid at that time. I mean, college, it's the weekend. I ain't trying to go.
Right.
And he was an older male, and I'm really young at that time. I was like, I'm not trying to go to this meeting. But I realized in life you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable to remain comfortable. So in order to like go
Say that
in,
again.
you
Yeah,
have
I
to
like
be
that.
comfortable to be uncomfortable in order to remain comfortable.
Right.
So you have to know that you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations if you want to, excel or scale in life.
Yeah.
So that's even now. Like now I have to be in rooms where, and I'll talk about that, something I suffered with, which I just overcame, which is imposter syndrome.
Say it again?
Imposter syndrome.
is
That's
that?
where you have doubt within yourself. You don't believe that you belong at the table. And I fought with myself a lot, especially in this position now. But in 2008, when I went to that meeting, and I was just hearing it, like Carl was just a cool dude. He was from my neighborhood, the Valley in the Bronx. Ruben Diaz Jr., you see him everywhere, so you could just attest to the type of man he is. I was like, these dudes is cool. Like, I could gravitate to them. I did an internship for Carl in 2008, and I just always stuck around. I always was a person, you have to build your resume as you continue to go. You have to build relationships. Relationships are so important. It's so important to build relationships
Good
with people.
relationships.
Positive, good relationships with people. Once you do that, you'll always be good. So I built that relationship with Carl and went to be an intern in his office. As I'm an intern in his office, push come to shove, I graduated from school. I was a manager at Kenneth Cole, the first Kenneth Cole in, I believe, New York City.
Okay.
It was in the Upper West Side. The store shut down because it was breaking apart, so I was laid off. So because I was always having that good relationship with Carl, I interned with him. I called him, was like, hey, Carl, I have a little bit more time. I'm looking for a job right now, but I have a little bit more time because I just got laid off. So if you need me to do anything, let me know. He said, you just got laid off. It was probably 2 months after that, Christmas. Around that time, I was in Westchester Mall shopping for some gifts. And he gives a call and he said, hey, I got a job for you. He gives me the job, and when I go get the job, it's a constituent liaison job, which is the best job if you work in politics because you get to really know what's going on in the community. You get to really engage with people that you're going to represent. So as I was representing and going in his office and talking to people, the same people that were coming in the office were the same people that were coming in the library. The library was 1 block away from his office. I always pay attention to signs. You know what I mean? That's a sign. That's how I know I was born to be a public servant.
Well,
So my first job and the last job that let me or was the vehicle to the road to my success was right next to my first job. So as I'm in the job, politics doesn't pay a lot. You know what I mean? At the same time, I still want to make some money. It was a real low paying job. At the time I was still a kid, so it was good for me.
So it was a lot of money.
But I was around people in politics, like lobbyists that were making a lot of money, things of that nature. So I wanted to transition into something else in politics. I know government was in everything. Like everything you could think about, government is in the NBA, the NFL, music, entertainment. Government is in there some form way. So I told Carl, I'm like, yeah, I love this job, but I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this, in the long run. He said, I don't think you should think like that. He said, you have so much potential, and I actually think you could, be an elected official one day. So he said that to me. I always looked up to Carl because he was like a mentor, older black male in my life. You know, no black man will admit it, but we always try to get that affirmation from another black man. And he was an older black man,
Right.
so he was like, I wouldn't say a father figure, but like a bigger brother. So when I got that affirmation from him, like, you really think me?
Yeah.
Me?
Wow.
With the way I grew up, like my life, you think I
Right.
could be an elected official? Once he said that to me, that fueled me.
Yeah.
I said, that's it. I'm
Yeah.
going for it.
Yeah.
And that really fueled the vehicle.
We
to
don't
my
have
success
that
there.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that anymore.
So, I got a whole bunch of questions, and I don't even know what order to ask. I know nothing about politics
Yeah.
because I'm like on that conspiracy theory that your vote doesn't count. So, how do you tell somebody, because not only are you black, but you look like what stereotype black guys on the Northeast would
Yeah.
consider black. You walk, you talk. Your voice is not changed because you're a politician. I wouldn't know that you was a politician. You're not trying to sell me anything now.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, what do you tell somebody that says I don't vote? I only voted 2 times. I'm 50 years old. I only voted 2 times. I voted for Hillary Clinton 2 times, and that's because I had a crush on her.
Yeah.
So that is a terrible reason to vote for somebody. But there are people that vote for you just because, oh, I like the way he dressed. Oh, he wears an earring. Oh, what do you tell somebody? Why should you vote?
The first time I voted was in 2008. Fortunately for me, I'm one of those people that believe everything happens for a reason. Seeing Barack Obama, that was my first time I voted. Seeing a black man run for president for me at that time just made me believe that anybody could achieve this. Excuse me, anybody that's black then
Right,
can
right,
achieve this
right.
finally. Even seeing our vice president right now, Kamala Harris, my daughters could look like anybody could achieve this. I run into that question or people who have that ideology every single day. People don't trust politics, and I don't blame them at all. There's so much that goes around in media for you not to trust politics, and it's up to us as elected officials. And I don't even like to call myself an elected official. I don't even like the terminology of being honorable. I like to be with the people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I like to really connect with the people. And the way that I try to engage people more civically is I try to be more transparent, accountable, and I try to pull them in with things that I'm doing within the community. Something I'm doing now, for instance, is something called participatory budgeting. It's something that council members are able to do if you want to do it. So as a council member, we get $5 million in capital money. It's up to us. That's not a lot. There's schools, parks, libraries, so much that needs to get fixed. It's up to us to negotiate with the administration in order to get more money, which I've been doing very, very good at. So, within that $5 million I get, $1 million that I allow the community to come in, give ideas, and then dictate where that money goes. That's my olive branch to the community with saying, hey, I'm trying to engage you. And not even that, every other dollar that comes from the city, I engage the community. That's just a civic way that they could physically do what I'm doing, where they could have ideas, where they could vote, where they could actually say, this is a way that I want to improve my community. I can't tell anyone to go out there and vote. When people say, hey, I voted for you, I need you to do this, I'm like, I didn't do it for a vote. Like I stated, I'm a public servant. I live in my community. Actually, really, at this time, I can't say later on in life that won't change, but at this time, I really don't even have any aspirations of going into a deeper field in politics. I just want to help my neighborhood. I know that this is the way to help. And even, I think when people think about politics, you always think about federal. You think about national. So we had a president that was doing a lot. So people saw him doing illegal things, or people just don't trust the administration, which I stated I don't fault. My father got locked up because of the 3 strikes bill that our now president voted for back in the day and supported. So, I understand why people don't trust government. All I could do as an elected official now is pull them in the process and show them how things work. This is how it works. Neither if you vote or not vote, things are going to happen.
Right.
You understand? Like, you want to have a say-so on it, or do you not want to have a say-so on it? Do you want to invest in it, or do you not want to invest in it? That's how you have to kind of look at things. So it's if you're gonna live in a house, right, and you have the opportunity to invest in it, and actually get something from it in case anything happens or it gets value, you want to make sure that you have that investment. If you live in the house and you're not paying for it or you're not investing in it, and somebody's going to continue just to make money off of you, that's pretty much how you got to kind of look at voting. You really have to look at it like, oh, I'm investing in myself and what's happening in my community. And it doesn't just stop with voting. You have to hold the elected officials actually accountable.
Right.
People just think you just go to the ballot booth
And that's
and
it.
vote,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
Yeah.
As an elected official, you're gonna have a lot of people sell you things or tell you things. Ideologies change. You meet different people. If you're a good elected official, you understand you don't know everything. I don't know a lot of things as being a politician. I try to inform myself. I try to surround people, inform myself, meet different people, and like I stated, build relationships. I have to understand that even when I'm talking to people, if you ask me a question I don't know, but I'll find out for you, and I'll connect you to the person to find out.
Right.
Sit down at the table with you, and we'll figure it out together.
So my question is, what is the difference between a councilman, an assemblyman? What are you higher than an assemblyman, or you? Are you
It's two different entities of government.
okay?
Council member is more municipal, it's more local, like city. That's what we have oversight on. That's what we have implementation on, like legislation. We control the city's budget. An assemblyman and a New York State senator or the legislative bodies of New York State. So I think the Senate is 63 members, and the Assembly is 150 members. So they represent the entire New York State. Us as council members, we just represent New York City. So it's 51 council members in New York City. So we have oversight over city agencies like the Department, New York NYPD, FDNY, Department of Sanitation, those city agencies. The state now, they would have authorization like the state troopers and things of that nature, and they still have authorization in New York City because New York City is controlled under the state as well. So that's the only difference. The federal government, like the president, the Congress, and the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Senate is only two in New York State. It's Senator Chuck Schumer and Senator Gillibrand. It's only those two. Congress members, there's several Congress members. I'm not going to lie right now. I don't know how many in New York State. But I do know that there's several House of Representatives. That's what you call them, Congress members. They represent on the federal level. So you have federal, state, and municipal, which is local. So that's the only difference. I wouldn't say anyone's higher than anyone. Do certain people get more notoriety than others? Yeah, of course. You know what I mean, if I'm walking if I'm in the event and the Congress members in the event, they might deference. The Congress member will speak before me. So I'll probably go last if I'm in the event with the House of Representatives, the stage. We'll probably go last depending on the event, depending on who's hosting it. They'll probably make me go because they like me better. But yeah, that's how it usually goes.
Okay, thank you.
So what does a day in your life look like? You wake up in the morning, you get ready for work. What does that look like?
Well, if I'm gonna give you my day, I gotta give you my entire day without being a member. My first and my main job is being a dad.
Okay.
So my day always consists of me waking up hour and a half early than my daughters. I have to get them to school by like 8:30. So I try to wake up around 6, get mentally prepared, check my emails here and there, get them ready, take them to school. After that, it varies.
Okay.
It varies. Sometimes I will have to go to City Hall for a hearing. As council members, we have committees. So the committees will be a committee on education that has oversight over the DOE. We have committees of health, which will have oversight over hospitals. Committee of criminal justice, which will have oversight of the Department of Corrections and other agencies. So as council members, we're a part of different committees, and we are chairs of one committee. I'm the chair of the subcommittee on zoning and franchise, which I have control over land use. Land use is really, really big in New York City. A lot of developers like to do rezoning. So if you're a person in real estate, if you're a developer, which is land is like gold in investment. Majority of the developers, they come to New York City if they want to go in a specific area and upzone and change the zoning of an area where they could build a bigger building, a wider building, or whatever they want to build, they would go through my committee, which is I'm under a subcommittee, which is the land use committee, which is the major committee. So that's what can happen. But on the other end, I could be in the district. I could be visiting a school. I could be going to an event, going to the senior center. I could be in the YMCA, which I'm at a lot.
So you have something to do every day.
Yeah, I would have something to do every single day. I'm just out engaging, talking to people, meetings, events. It's nonstop. It's just keep on.
So what is your biggest challenge?
I'll tell you what my biggest challenge was until recently. I always had a staffer mentality because I was a staffer for so long. So I'm always trying to help and be there and try to make sure everything's right because I was always trying to make sure that the principal looked good. Now I have to step back. I have a staff, amazing staff. My team is ridiculous, and your team matters, especially in this game. Your team matters. I had to take a step back because I had the same number since 8th grade. Everybody had my number. Everyone's contacting me. As a member now, it's hard, and it was draining me. So at that time, that was a challenge for me because I wanted to help people. I wanted to follow up, but I had to take a step back and allow my team to grow. And as I took that step back, they are growing within each department that they have. Like I have this one person who's my communications person. She's working retail. She worked in a high-end store, but she trusted me and came and worked with us. She is killing it, man, killing it. And she's younger, and she's just learning the business of it, and she's just expanding more and more, and I just see it. And that goes for everybody in my team, and that's just one example. So that was a big challenge, like, for me to be the principal now. I had to take a step back, allow my team to do what they do, and time management. I have 3 kids, 2 beautiful daughters and a son. I have to make sure, and my wife, I have to make sure that I'm available and manage my time for them as well. So
What
that's
are the ages?
my 2 daughters, 7 and 3, and my son just turned 3 months today.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're
That's a
very
lot.
young.
Yeah.
So usually in politics, everyone's much older. So their kids are usually more older. Mine are young.
Yes.
So I'm dealing with a lot of the younger
Balancing your
things
time.
and bouncing. So it's really time management. But I'm trying to grow and get better every day. So that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
What is your biggest? You said you're over District 12, right?
Yeah.
So what is your biggest challenge in District 12?
The biggest challenge in District 12 right now, what would I classify as the biggest challenge in District 12 right now? Well, my slogan is working together. We could get so much done with working together. Right now, I wouldn't say it's really a challenge, but it's something that is in a challenge as being annoying or anything like that. I would say this is a challenge of, you get a project and you want to make sure that you fulfill this project. So right now, we address things or concerns within our community. So my game in this business, I treat it like a business, the streets, however I look at things. Because politics is like the streets too. Please don't get it twisted. Politics is like the streets. No, seriously, you get threats. One of my colleagues yesterday just got threats. Very sickening, crazy threats. But it's like the streets. So I would say the biggest challenge, we're trying to get more people to work together. So you're trying to, specific, I had a meeting today with the superintendent of my specific area with the school. So majority of my funding goes to schools. So I usually go to a school or hear something and I'll try to go fund that school, or they'll apply and I'm like, all right, they need money. But there's schools that are really needed out there. So why am I doing that instead of just working with the superintendent's office, who knows what schools want to be worked with, and the community members in the community who want to be a part of the process? Why don't we just all sit at the table and work together so we could kind of come up with a strategy? Because I just don't want to be running around with my head cut off in this game where I really want to leave. Because one thing I always said, I don't want to leave and be like, what did you do for the district? I want you to turn around and look. Like I did that. I invest in capital projects in my district, libraries, parks, schools, things I saw growing up. I've invested we're about to do over $40 million for Haven Park. park I played in growing up. You know what I mean? And we're trying to get some more money because we're trying to build like a high rise in there where we can have classes in the wintertime. We
Wow.
bought the YMCA over there,
I was gonna
which is
ask
my
you about
biggest
that.
project.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
How long
my
did it take
baby.
to do that? Yeah.
So the YMCA project, that took years.
Mm-hmm.
So a coalition, the Northeast Bronx Coalition, which is founded by Al DeCastro, which is the OG of Northeast Bronx, man. That's the triple OG. He's about 90. I think he turned 97 this year.
Wow.
Yeah. And Shirley Farron, who is my other title is a district leader. I'm a male district leader and I have a female district leader. That's my partner. And I'll explain what the district leader is. We are an entity under the assembly. So we help with the polls.
Okay.
So if you want to work the polls, we're able to put you and place people at the polls. And we're able to be, I want to say we're able to help out the state elected officials whenever they need help. So I have dual responsibilities. So Shirley Farron was a part of the Northeast Bronx Coalition. So they had this coalition, I believe, about in 2009. They formed it and they came together and it was like, Carl said, what do you guys want? Go big. They said we want a community center. So if you guys know Northeast Bronx, we didn't have a community center growing up.
Right.
There's different places you could have played. Some schools had open gym. Baychester Center had a center. Co-op City had their own thing. When Truman was able, people could play ball there. Or in the summertime, you played outside, which is the majority of the time we played. But if it wasn't summer, there was nowhere for us to go. And at the majority of the time, the whole essence of the YMCA is I wanted to create a safe space for everyone to come through. If you was from that area, you know, you didn't feel safe going to certain areas. I was from the Valley. So Valley and Co-op a lot. I have friends in Co-op. I have friends that was from White Plains Road. So, you know what I mean? But you can't go certain areas to play. But I used to play in like certain tournaments back in the day. So I got to know people. I have friends that live in different areas. I remember one time, God rest his soul, Kev Shaw, a good brother from Co-op City, man. I played in a tournament in Co-op City. I was just playing around. And I was on the team with him. And I remember in tournament, I don't know, we kids, we playing, you know what I mean, competitive. I got into it with another kid in Co-op, so they was like waiting for me after the game. I was like, oh God, I'm about to get it. I'm from the Valley. But Kev he helped me out. He like distracted them and told me to go the other way.
Right.
So I always remembered that. Cause I'm like, yo, another kid from that area helped me out. If more people, if we had a safe space where we could have kids from Co-op, Valley, Edenwald, around the Northeast Bronx come and get in a situation like that in certain areas, and they can have somebody stepping like, nah, man, he's a good kid. Yo, calm down the situation, you know what I mean? That might, you know, stop a lot of stuff. So I always remember that. I always kept that in my head. So they came up with the coalition back in the day, and they asked Carl for a community center. So Carl, he was an assembly member at that time. So the most powerful position in the assembly is the speaker.
Okay.
When you're the speaker of the assembly, it's like you're the top person in that specific chamber. So in my field, I have the speaker of New York City Council, who is Adrienne Adams, the first black speaker in New York City. She is the speaker of our chambers. But Carl Hasty, he became the speaker of his chambers in 2015. So the speaker controls the budget from the assembly perspective.
Okay.
So he was able to, you know, gather some funding. We were able to get funds there. We got funds from different entities like our predecessor, the borough president at the time, and different other parts of government were able to fund, like federal government, things of that nature. And then we got the money to get this job done. So it was a long period of time. I would say like a good 10 years because you had to plan it. You had to get funding for it. As you get funding, and you could just imagine if you were building a house, things come up.
Right.
Things came up, so you had to get more funding.
Yeah.
So that's what it took so long. We just celebrated 1 year.
Okay.
And I think we have over 2,000 members now.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
beautiful. I stay in there.
Yeah.
I stay in there. I play with the kids in there. I play ball in there with them. And after I play, I'll be like, yeah, I'm Councilmember Riley, man, what's going on? Get out of here, man, you're a politician. That's it. But I love it because I'm connecting with you a different way. And then
Right.
I break bread with you after and like tell you what I
Right.
do, introduce myself, and try to be a mentor or help you out.
So you also had a hand in the Apple store that's in Bay Plaza. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say so. We give our input on a lot of things. Like
Okay.
Like I have a good relationship with the people over at Bay Plaza.
Right.
But that was something that was in the making before me.
Oh,
I
okay.
just happened to come in while that was happening. But I'll talk about that though, because if you see the evolution of the Northeast Bronx, the economic drive that's coming there, that's why I want people to pay attention. Because I did a video the other day about property tax. The property taxes in the Northeast Bronx are the most in New York City. The most. We have multifamily houses, beautiful homes, but they're not worth half the price. Well, no, I wouldn't say half. No, they're not worth half the price of brownstones in like Bed-Stuy and places in Brooklyn and Harlem. So you're thinking about the market value of the houses we're paying for and why we're paying so much property taxes, which is like pushing a lot of people from the area. So a lot of peers that I have, we don't want to buy houses over there
Right,
because
right.
property taxes too high. Why? So that's something I'm kind of fighting for right now. But as that's going on, the district is changing.
Right.
We got Starbucks. Bay Plaza's getting big.
Once a Starbucks come into your neighborhood,
You know
exchange.
what they say. You know what they say. So we got Starbucks, Shake Shack, and Bay Plaza now.
Yeah.
They just got a Nike store.
Okay.
Big on Nike store.
Yeah.
Crazy. Has a line
Oh,
every
boy.
single day.
We should
And there's
know
something,
that.
there's something else coming, but I won't, put it on the record.
Okay.
There's some more stuff coming over
Yeah.
there. So the area is really, really changing in that district. So you're talking about the Apple store. The Apple store is there now.
Right.
So you could just think about other places. And right now we're trying to help improve White Plains Road. Just imagine what White Plains Road could be, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ghost stores over there. There's a lot of
Yeah,
stores,
yeah.
abandoned stores that have been closed down. So if we could get over there vibrant and like really help the businesses over there, but I want my people to stay.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
the thing.
Exactly.
I want my people to stay.
I want to ask you something maybe a little playful.
Yeah.
You speak about basketball. Can you really play like what's your average? What's your average in the game?
I'm pretty good, man. Actually, I think as I got older, I got better. It's just I don't have like the
You done got it
agility
that
to
brought the
play.
ball. You done got it brought the ball.
Nah. I
You
could,
public service
man.
even in basketball.
I could. That's why the young kids mess with me, man. I could keep up with them with a little bit. I keep up with them a little bit. I don't look bad out there, but
You should ask
yeah.
Pop what is his average.
Oh, my average is
yeah.
nice basketball. I put a nice basketball to the court.
Nah, but basketball was always something that it was like a meal. You want to break bread with your family and just have a feast. That's how you connect in the community, man. Like you go to the court, meet some. I met some dope people playing ball, man.
Yeah.
We had something on Sundays, like in a while. We play ball every Sunday. So I'll go in there. I have like a bunch of men like my age, and some kids started coming out too. And now I got politicians coming out, like Carl's coming out there. Now I had the senator out there. So we just playing, just engaging. It's just different. We're not going to the NBA, man. We know that. We're not trying to hurt ourselves. You know what I mean? We try to get some cardio in. You know what I mean? Just try to keep it cool.
So I do know for a fact that you had a hand in one thing that we all at this table know, and that's the Bishop Michelle White sign, the street, being changed. And thank you so much for being a part of that.
That was a given.
Yeah.
She contributed so much.
Tell me your relationship with her.
So working with Carl, community. I was the constituent liaison, district office manager, and now I became the community relations director, which is my favorite position there. Besides from the constituent liaison, because I really got to connect with the community. So I got to go out to like events, represent Carl. Because majority of the time, state legislator is in Albany for half the year. 6 months there, up there. If the budget goes over, they have to stay probably the next month, and they have to go up there at a certain time. So they're not really in the district. They can't be.
Right.
So going to different events and different churches, I got to meet the bishop. I used to always respect her. She was
Right.
gangster to me.
Right.
You know why? Like, she used to have, like, people that protected her.
Right.
But I always wondered why. That's what you have to really worry about. Why?
Right.
Because people, you know, you have like a dictator. Like, you know when someone's like a dictator, so people are like, they have to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? These people that were protecting her and praised her, they didn't have to be there.
Right.
So anytime I was around her or went to the church, I always was like, yo, this is like really powerful. What is she doing that people could connect to her this way?
Right.
So I always admired her for that. I wouldn't sit here and say we had like the most closest relationship. I didn't
Right.
get the opportunity to build that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure in my capacity now, if you know, she was around,
Yeah.
definitely would have got to
I
that
believe that.
magnitude.
Absolutely.
But I would tell you, I always had respect for her, high respect. So when the opportunity came to do the street renaming, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, you know, we were trying to get it done. I was new.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure things out, and it wasn't my district. I actually don't represent the district of churches in.
Okay.
That's my colleague, Councilman Dennis district. So we just had to go through different things.
Right.
But we got it done. That was the first street renaming I did.
Really?
Yeah, the first one I did. So I will always remember that.
Yeah.
Very special.
Yeah.
But it was a no-brainer, man. She was really a legend in our community, pioneer. You know what I mean? She helped so much people. When you give people hope, that's so meaningful. So she was dope.
Yeah. Well, we do know that you had someone like annoying you.
No.
Yeah, like was really annoying
Yeah. like
about this
like
sign.
the engineer.
Yeah.
He's been quiet all
Kind
this
of
whole
annoying like the
episode.
engineer. Yeah, we ain't
He is
doing that. 'Cause
annoying.
we're talking
Yeah.
about
Nah,
you.
man. I tell you, with this job, you need people to be on you.
Yeah.
Because you know we're just doing so much. Like I walk around with 2 phones. I got my iPad. You know, things come up. Like anything can happen.
So where do you see yourself going?
I think I'm paying attention to now.
Okay.
Instead of figuring out where I'm going after.
That's
I
the
wouldn't-
first political statement
That
you've
was-
given.
It was. That was good, right? That was good, right?
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah. Sending no warning
Nah,
shots.
yeah, you know,
Since the morning
I'm
shot.
just paying attention to my seat right now, man. That's where my focus is. I have a race next year, and then I have another race, which will be term limited after that in 2025. So when that time comes, that time comes. But as for now, I'm just focused, man. I'm trying to really change my community.
Yeah.
My colleague, Congressmember Bowman, said we building Wakanda in our district.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We trying to change the community, man.
Yeah.
We trying to have you know what I mean? I think if you really, that's why I really love the YMCA too. Like when you walk in that YMCA, it looks different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You feel different.
Right.
You don't feel like a rundown building that's just in your neighborhood that we have to play in. You know what I mean? It feels different. The staff feels different. Like the community, it feels like it's community in there. And I feel like if we could do that around the district, change some parks up, change some libraries up, you know, just change the dynamics of the community, people will feel like that and start treating it like that.
Yeah. Well, I believe in you.
Yeah.
Truth is, sitting here talking to the councilman, sometimes you get a vibe from people, and this is my first time actually having a conversation and spending any time in your presence. And the vibe from this young man is awesome. It's authentic. And when you hear that name, know that there's going to be change. When you hear that name, know that you have someone that's in your corner and that you can believe and trust in him. That's my vibe from you.
Appreciate that.
I don't have to fluff you up. I don't have to say anything. So anybody that knows me out there know that I don't just talk out of my mouth, out of my head, and don't mean it. So, again, when you hear that name and you go to vote, make sure you pick in that name.
Right.
Kevin Riley.
Right.
And go out and vote, man. That's
Go out
that's
and
number
vote.
one.
Start
Go,
there.
go out
Yeah,
and
Go
vote.
register. Go
Go
get
get
registered.
registered.
Go out
but
and
most
vote.
importantly too, sorry to cut you off. Most
it's okay.
importantly too, get educated, man.
Absolutely.
You gotta really figure out what's going on in your community. All politics is local for real.
Yeah.
Everything you complaining about is the local elected
It's right
officials.
there.
The
Yeah.
street. I mean, the complaints we get the most: sanitation,
Yeah.
the commercial trucks throughout the pandemic. That became a really big business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we get a lot of complaints of local things that people might think like the federal government may do.
Right.
So you have to really understand your politics, and like the state legislators, they really are like the state laws, like what laws apply to you on a daily basis. So you want to make sure that you're getting people in office or having to say so for people in office who could really fight for you, and you can hold
Absolutely.
accountable. Like I said, you can't just vote.
Right.
You gotta hold them accountable. You gotta be
Yeah.
a part of the process,
down that
man.
door,
We doing this
make those
together,
calls,
man.
yeah.
We doing this together. It's like
Yeah.
a team. If you're on a
That's
team, you have a captain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the elected official might be the captain, but he's
Yeah.
not the only person on the team playing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? You need the whole team to win. So
Yeah. So,
That's it. Wakanda forever.
Thanks, Pop. Thanks.
thank you, Pop. Councilman, thank you so much again.
no
Thank
problem,
you.
man.
for
Thank you for having
coming
me.
and talking to us and speaking to the people.
Oh, no doubt, man.
Good night, everybody.
Oh.